Warning: the following broadcast contains opinions that may offend the fragile, enlighten the curious, and irritate every overpaid bureaucrat from DC to New York. What you're about to hear isn't sanitized, subsidized, or Soros-approved. It's raw, sarcastic, and occasionally offensive. Kind of like America used to be before everyone needed a trigger warning and a therapist for hearing the truth. We live in a time where the word freedom is treated like hate speech, where politicians hand out promises like party favors, and where the word democracy has become code for do what we say or else. Tonight, we're cutting through the static, the propaganda, the headlines, the noise, to show you what's really happening beneath the surface. Because while you were working, raising your kids, or just trying to keep your sanity, the system's been busy pulling off the kind of political sleight of hand that'd make a Vegas magician blush. If you came for honesty, strap in. If you came for comfort, there's a PBS special starting somewhere else. This is Data and Dissonance.
Tonight, folks, we're kicking things off with the Commie Momdonie himself. Zohran Mamdani, the socialist star from Queens who's pitching city-owned grocery stores like it's the next big thing. Because nothing says progress like waiting in line for milk behind a government cashier with a diversity quota. Then we shift gears to a conservative turf war. Yes, even the right's catching some shrapnel. The Heritage Foundation, one of the oldest conservative powerhouses, is now imploding faster than a Biden speech without a teleprompter. Internal feuds, leadership battles, and ideological purges, all while the media pretends conservatism's dying out. Spoiler alert, it's not dying, it's detoxing. And finally, the cherry on tonight's political sundae, the Democrat exodus. Pelosi's packing it in, Jared Golden's calling it quits, and half the blue bench looks ready to retire to Martha's Vineyard before the subpoenas hit. The narrative's collapsing, the polls are tanking, and the so-called party of the people is sprinting for the lifeboats before 2026 turns into a red tsunami. That's all coming up. Plus 3 satire breaks guaranteed to make CNN cry, and a merch drop that'll make you proud to be labeled a threat to democracy. Welcome to Monday's edition of Data and Dissonance, where we don't just spill the tea, we pour it on the propaganda. All right, it's Monday, November 10th, and the world hasn't caught fire yet. But give it time. Let's bring in the crew that keeps this circus from collapsing into a therapy session. First up, Brian, the man who's been banned from 3 social media platforms, 2 barbecues, and 1 Whole Foods for saying MAGA too loudly. He's the human embodiment of a bald eagle with heartburn. It's MAGA Fire Brian. Next, Rachel. She's the calm in the chaos, the logic in the storm, the woman who can dismantle a liberal argument faster than they can Google what is inflation. She's our independent thinker, our red pill sniper. Rachel. Then there's Daniel, the conspiracy conductor himself. If there's a shadowy organization behind it, he's already built the map, found the funding trail, and probably installed a camera in their Zoom call. He's got the receipts, the rants, and the Reddit threads. Daniel. And finally, Skylar. Once the token progressive, now the skeptic with a vengeance. She's seen what the left's really selling, and she's not buying the guilt trip anymore. These days, she's more fire than flour. Skylar. Together, they're the brain trust of chaos, the voice of reason, and the occasional HR violation. And I'm your host, Artie Roy, reminding you that freedom isn't a fringe idea. Sarcasm isn't hate speech, and laughter is still legal. For now. All right, let's light the fuse and dive in. So New York looked at their collapsing subways, sky-high rent, and tax rates that could bankrupt a small nation and said, you know what we're missing? A communist with a Twitter account. Enter Zohran Mamdani, or as we're calling him tonight, the Commie Momdonie, the man who thinks Karl Marx just needed better PR. He's the self-proclaimed socialist savior who wants to turn New York into the world's first government-run Costco, where everything's free except the freedom part. The guy's out here pitching city-owned grocery stores like it's some revolutionary idea. Newsflash, if you can't keep pigeons off the subway tracks, you probably shouldn't be in charge of milk.
Milk's racist now anyway.
Oh right, forgot. We're in the era of lactose equity. But really, Mamdani's plan is this: freeze rents, hand out free transit, and declare war on capitalism. From a $4,000 a month apartment in Queens. He's the kind of guy who shows up to a protest in a Tesla with a hammer and sickle bumper sticker. You just know his campaign's carbon neutral, mostly because it runs on hot air.
Artie, this guy's the kind of idiot that makes you wish the Boston Tea Party had a sequel. He's running around shouting equity for all while cashing a taxpayer paycheck. I watched one of his speeches, and I swear I lost 10 IQ points and a gallon of patriotism. He talks about community ownership like it's some utopian dream. Nah, man, it's called theft with paperwork. You let the government run your grocery store, next thing you know, they're rationing peanut butter and measuring your meat portions. He's basically trying to turn Manhattan into a Soviet Costco. And buddy, have you ever seen the DMV try to print something? Now imagine them in charge of ground beef.
That's right, Brian. At least at Costco you get samples. In communism, you get suspicion.
Exactly, they say. No one will go hungry. Yeah, because everyone's equally starving. Every time a socialist opens his mouth, a small business closes. It's the same blueprint every time. Punish the successful, praise the lazy, and pretend it's compassion. The Commie Momdonie is just the latest brand of failure with a smiley face logo. And the scary part? People are cheering for it because they think free stuff is a right. Brother, freedom's never free, and socialism's the bill collector.
Here's the thing. You can sell anything with the word free in front of it. Free rent, free groceries, free transit. It all sounds amazing until you realize the math doesn't work and the system doesn't care. Rent freezes always start as mercy and end as market collapse. Landlords stop maintaining buildings because they can't afford to, so the quality of life plummets. City-run grocery stores? That's a recipe for taxpayer-funded losses. And if they fail, guess who bails them out? Not the rich. It's always the middle class. People like Mamdani love to moralize about fairness, but fairness doesn't pay bills or balance budgets.
Rachel, you're saying the government isn't good at efficiency? Next thing you'll tell me Amtrak isn't profitable.
Exactly. You can't run a city like a charity and expect it to stay solvent. What Mamdani's proposing is a fantasy built on borrowed money and borrowed patience. I get it. New Yorkers are hurting, prices are insane, and people want relief, but replacing capitalism with socialism is like fixing a broken leg by amputating the torso.
Put that on a bumper sticker.
And here's where it gets darker, guys. This isn't just bad economics. This is infiltration. Follow the money. The Commie Mamdani isn't some lone socialist with a dream. He's the prototype. His campaign's getting soft money support from all the usual suspects. Progressive PACs, globalist NGOs, and social equity initiatives funded by billionaires who think they can buy a moral conscience. This guy's fingerprints are on the same stack as the climate lobby, open border advocates, and the anti-Israel crowd. It's all connected. New York's not a city to them. It's a test site. They're seeing how far they can push socialism into the American bloodstream before people fight back.
So you're saying Mamdani's basically a lab rat with a press pass?
Exactly. You push it through culture, you mask it as compassion, and before long, people are thanking the state for permission to live. It's psychological warfare dressed as progressivism. He's not selling fairness, he's selling obedience. The scary part? It's working.
Man, if I wanted obedience, I'd buy a golden retriever, not vote Democrat.
You know, I used to be that person who thought socialism just needed the right people in charge. I thought if we could take greed out of the equation, we'd fix everything. But what I learned is that socialism doesn't remove greed. It institutionalizes it. It replaces thousands of small opportunists with one big powerful one, the state. And once the government owns your rent, your food, and your transportation, they own you. You can't protest the hand that feeds you like that, and they know it. That's why Mamdani's message sounds so sweet. It's sugar-coated control. And people buy it because they're exhausted and desperate.
So basically, Socialism's a con run by people who've never run anything?
Exactly. They call it equality, but it always ends with the same people on top, the politicians and the elites pretending to be your saviors. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. Once the government starts deciding what you can buy, how much you pay, and where you live, it's not freedom anymore. It's economic servitude with better branding.
Now available in New York, Servitude, brought to you by the Democratic Socialists of America.
Couldn't have said it better, Skylar. Folks, socialism's like a virus that keeps rebranding itself every generation. One year it's equity, the next it's justice, the next it's free lunch. But the symptoms are always the same. Broken systems, lost liberty, and a city that smells like failure. The Commie Momdonie can dress it up however he wants, but underneath the slogans, it's the same old Marxist snake oil. Coming up next, the right's got its own drama. Heritage Foundation, internal revolts, and what happens when conservatives start eating their own. But first, a word from our very egalitarian sponsors.
Tired of selfish capitalist caffeine? Then, comrades, wake up and smell the equality. Introducing Communist Coffee Company, the only brew guaranteed to taste equally awful for everyone. We roast all our beans in collective ovens to ensure no one gets ahead. Choose from our finest blends, Mediocre Morning, Red Revolution Roast, and our Premium Decaf 5-year plan. At Communist Coffee, no cup costs more or less because math is oppressive. Every sip comes with a receipt showing how much your neighbor paid. Spoiler, it's identical. So raise your mug and salute the Ministry of Mediocrity, where every bean is shared, every flavor is rationed, and every refill requires a permit. Communist Coffee Company, brewed by the people, taxed by the state, enjoyed by none.
All right, folks. You know things are getting spicy when even the conservative family reunion turns into a cage match. The Heritage Foundation, that big, proud, button-down think tank that used to be the intellectual engine of Reagan's America, is now eating itself alive. You've got leadership walkouts, ideological tantrums, and donors pulling the plug faster than CNN's primetime viewers. Kevin Roberts, the guy supposed to keep the conservative castle intact, is now under fire for being too Trump, too populist, and apparently too interesting. Imagine that. The right finally gets a backbone, and the pearl clutchers inside the castle scream, "He's scaring the donors." I swear, half these DC conservatives wouldn't know a real fight if it took their parking space. The left is out there rewriting biology, burning flags, and censoring speech. Meanwhile, Heritage is fighting over who gets the corner office and whether Tucker Carlson's tone is too mean. You can't make this up.
Artie, it's like watching your football team start tackling each other instead of the other side. Heritage is supposed to be the conservative brain trust, and right now it looks more like a high school debate club run by hall monitors. I get the frustration. These guys spent decades being polite while the left bulldozed everything. Now Trump-era conservatives come in swinging, and suddenly the old guard's clutching pearls like grandma at a rock concert. Oh no, we might offend the media. Buddy, the media already hates you. They'd fact-check Jesus if he voted Republican.
Exactly. CNN's breaking news would read, "Son of God spotted with MAGA crowd. Heaven denies comment."
Right? Look, Heritage needs fire, not paperwork. They need warriors, not workshop panels. Kevin Roberts was trying to bring some Trump-era grit, and suddenly the donor class panics because passion doesn't fit their spreadsheet. Here's a memo for them. You can't spreadsheet your way through a culture war.
Brian's right about one thing. It's a culture war, not an etiquette contest. But the bigger issue is that Heritage stopped evolving. It built its legacy on policy papers while the battlefield moved to memes and algorithms. The left learned to weaponize culture, Hollywood, social media, late-night comedy, while the right's biggest think tank is still arguing over mission statements. Roberts tried to modernize it, align with populist energy, and the old-school Republicans freaked out. They want Reagan's tone in a Trump-era fight, That's like showing up to a cage match in a cardigan.
Exactly. And that cardigan's made of Mitt Romney's spine.
Heritage could be unstoppable if it balanced intellect with action. But right now it's acting like an ivory tower HOA that's mad the neighbors painted their house red, white, and blue. You can't inspire people by scolding them for passion.
And if you trace it, Artie, this meltdown isn't just ego, it's infiltration. I said it years ago. Globalists don't just control the left, they infect the right. You start seeing foreign donors, corporate interests, and bureaucratic types worming their way into conservative institutions so they can steer them away from populism. Heritage is supposed to be about liberty and sovereignty, but half their board's married to the World Economic Forum through business deals. These aren't patriots, they're gatekeepers. Their job is to make sure conservatism never actually threatens the system.
So you're saying the swamp's got a branch office inside Heritage?
Oh, absolutely. It's Swamp co-working space. Same suits, different logo. They host a Freedom Forum by day and toast the Davos crowd at night. Roberts tried to kick the door open for real reformers, and suddenly everyone screamed, extremist. If defending America's founding values is extreme, then sign me up.
That's right. I'd rather be called extreme than irrelevant.
What kills me is this. The left doesn't eat its own. They march in lockstep. They'll protect each other through lies, investigations, and scandals. Meanwhile, the right finally starts showing unity and strength, and their own institutions implode over tone. The irony? This is exactly what the left wants. Divide the base, discredit the fighters, and the movement collapses from the inside. The Heritage Civil War is proof that even the right's brain trust isn't immune to the virus of political correctness. You can't win a war when you're scared of being called names.
Exactly. I mean, if the Founding Fathers had worried about PR, we'd still be paying taxes to the king.
At least the tea would be cheaper.
Look, here's the bottom line. The Heritage Foundation needs to decide whether it's going to be a museum for polite Republicans or a fortress for real conservatives. Roberts may not be perfect, but at least he's not apologizing for having a spine. This movement doesn't need more white papers. It needs white-hot passion. We're in a fight for America's soul, and think tank politics ain't gonna cut it. So, Heritage, if you're listening, stop writing memos and start making moves. All right, when we come back, we're looking at the other side of the aisle. And spoiler alert, they're not fighting, they're fleeing. Pelosi's packing it up, Jared Golden's tapping out, and a whole lineup of Democrats are quietly sneaking for the exits. But first, let's hear from a sponsor who knows what real unity looks like.
Feeling weak from all that woke? Come on down to Freedom Fitness Center, the only gym where the only thing we cancel is cardio. Here at Freedom Fitness, we don't judge, unless you show up in a mask. Get your gains the patriotic way with our exclusive Constitutional CrossFit class. We lift weights and restrictions. Sign up now and get a free bottle of tears from triggered liberals. Perfect for electrolytes. Freedom Fitness Center, where every rep screams liberty and every drop of sweat smells like the Bill of Rights. Join today and remember, in our gym, we don't skip leg day, we skip socialism.
So while New York's trying to cosplay as Cuba and the Heritage Foundation's busy playing musical chairs with egos, over in Washington, the Democrats are quietly sneaking out the back door like teenagers after curfew. We've got Pelosi finally packing it up, Jared Golden calling it quits, and half the party suddenly discovering that spending more time with family sounds a lot better than answering questions under oath. Combine that with the government shutdown still dragging on, and it's starting to feel like the blue side of the aisle just decided to hit Control-Alt-Delete on themselves. Pelosi's farewell speech was peak performance art. She thanked the spirit of democracy, blamed Trump twice, and congratulated herself 3 times. I half expected her to end it with a wine sponsorship and a Botox plug. Meanwhile, the government's still shut down because both sides are locked in a staring contest. But let's be real. Democrats have nothing left to blink with. Their bench is empty, Their polls are underwater, and their donors are starting to look at the libertarians just for excitement.
Artie, I'll say it. This is the best government shutdown I've ever seen. Every day DC is closed is a day America gets a break from being robbed. You got Democrats crying about essential services being delayed. What services? The Inflation Department? The Border Neglect Bureau? It's like they're upset they can't spend your money fast enough. And Pelosi retiring? That's like Dracula announcing he's vegan. I'll believe it when she stops sucking the life out of the budget.
Amen, brother. If the government stays shut another month, the economy might actually recover from it.
Exactly. We don't need fewer shutdowns. We need longer ones. They're calling it chaos. I call it peace and quiet. Pelosi's been in power since fax machines were high-tech. Her stepping down isn't noble. It's survival. The ship's going down, and she's making sure she's off it before the subpoenas start flying. You can't spell retirement without retire, and that's exactly what her whole party's doing. Blowing out their tires on the way out.
You know what's fascinating? Every Democrat who's stepping down has the same excuse. We're tired of the division. Translation: the polling's catastrophic. They've spent years pushing policies that wrecked the middle class, opened the borders, and broke the budget. Now they can't handle the fallout. The government shutdown is just exposing how fragile their system really is. They built this house of cards on cheap credit and moral superiority, and now both are collapsing. Pelosi's walking away not because she's tired, because she knows what's coming. The next election's not going to be a blue wave. It's going to be a red reckoning.
So what you're saying is, she saw the writing on the wall, and it was spelled Trump.
Exactly. They can't stop him, and they know it. The shutdown just proves who's really in charge now. The Democrats ran Washington for decades on fear. Fear of losing funding, fear of being called racist, fear of offending their donors. But the curtain's down now, and what's behind it isn't a wizard. It's a bunch of exhausted career politicians who ran out of lies.
Let's be honest here. This isn't coincidence. Pelosi, Golden, several others, all stepping back right before investigations into the money pipelines that funded their campaigns and foundations go public. We're talking Ukraine, PAC laundering, backdoor climate cash. The timing of the shutdown is perfect cover. The longer the lights are off, the more evidence can quietly disappear. It's a Washington disappearing act. They're not resigning out of humility. They're evacuating before the flood. Every time there's a DC crisis, follow the money. It always leads back to the same hands, and they're cashing out before the house of cards falls.
So you're saying this isn't a retreat? It's a cover-up evacuation drill?
Exactly. The media will spin it as new leadership, but it's the same swamp with new hats. The only reason Pelosi's not clinging to her seat is because she already bought a better one, probably in Switzerland.
Don't worry, Dan. If she moves there, she'll still find a way to vote in California.
Here's what hits me hardest. The people who voted for these Democrats actually believed the promises. They thought shutting down the government would force accountability, that higher taxes would fix poverty, that these politicians cared about regular Americans. Now they're watching those same politicians flee while the government grinds to a halt. And nothing changes. It's betrayal, disguised as burnout. Pelosi, Golden, and the rest aren't leaving out of conscience. They're abandoning ship to save face. The shutdown just made it impossible to hide their failure anymore. And it's not just about policy. It's about trust. They broke it, and no amount of retirement speeches can rebuild it.
You nailed it. They sold hope, cashed the check, and left the receipt for the taxpayers.
Exactly. And it's poetic. The party that preached inclusion, empathy, and stability is now the one fleeing its own creation. The American people are left holding the bill while the architects of the chaos vanish into consulting gigs and beachfront homes. That's not leadership. That's looting.
Coming soon on Netflix, Pelosi Island, a gated community for the guilt-free elite.
So here we are, a government shutdown, a party in retreat, and a DC swamp gasping for relevance. The Democrats are running out of talking points, the media's running out of spin, and the people are running out of patience. Pelosi's walking, Golden's gone, and by the looks of it, even the interns are updating their resumes for Florida. Call it what you want. I call it poetic justice. The system's collapsing under the weight of its own hypocrisy. And you know what? I don't see that as a tragedy. I see it as a reset. When we come back, we'll drop a little merch, celebrate the free market they all hate, and then wrap with final thoughts. But first, a message from one of our patriotic, totally not socialist sponsors.
That's right, America. It's time for the biggest blowout of the season at Uncle Sam's government shutdown sale. Everything must go. Integrity, credibility, and your taxpayer dollars. Need a senator? Half off. Want a bureaucrat? We've got plenty. Slightly used but still blaming Trump. Come on down before accountability returns and ruin the fun. We're slashing prices on public trust, burning through budgets like Pelosi's stock portfolio, and throwing in free IRS audits for the first 100 callers. Uncle Sam's government shutdown sale, where nothing works but everyone gets paid.
All right, before we close it out tonight, let's talk about something that actually delivers value for your money. Unlike Congress, that's right, it's time for the Data and Dissonance merch drop. We've got the full lineup. Our High Lakes light roast for those who like their mornings bright and their sarcasm even brighter. Rock Creek medium roast if you like a little balance before chaos, and the Bitterroot dark French roast, because sometimes your coffee should be as strong as your opinions. All roasted in the USA, no government funding, and guaranteed to keep you awake longer than a Biden speech. And don't forget our Patriot gear. Hoodies, trucker hats, mugs, socks, even the Gene X shirts that say, "Built different, raised right." If you want to wear your resistance with pride, hit up the store at Data and Dissonance at printify.me. Because if you're going to fight back, you might as well look good doing it. Every sale supports the show, supports truth, and most importantly, keeps our coffee out of the hands of communists. So stock up before Kamala tries to tax caffeine. All right, let's roll into final thoughts. All right, America. We've laughed, we've ranted, we've roasted. But before we close it out tonight, let's talk about the deeper truth behind everything we covered. Because what we're witnessing right now, from socialist experiments in New York, to infighting among conservatives, to Democrats fleeing Washington like rats off a burning ship, it's not just politics. It's the sound of a country waking up from a long, drugged-up nap. Every headline we hit tonight had one thing in common: corruption that's gotten too comfortable. Politicians on both sides have forgotten what they're supposed to be. They've turned public service into personal empire building. They've traded courage for convenience, integrity for image, and the Constitution for career security. But here's the thing. You can't lie forever when the people start paying attention. That's why this show exists. To cut through the spin, laugh through the chaos, and remind you that the Republic's heartbeat isn't in Washington. It's in your towns, your families, and your willingness to stand up when the system expects you to shut up. So tonight, as we wrap up red flags and falling Democrats, each of us is going to leave you with one final truth. One reminder of why the chaos we're watching isn't the end of America. It's the beginning of a reckoning.
Here's where I'm at, Artie. People keep acting like the shutdown and this wave of resignations are tragedies. They're not. They're blessings in disguise. The system needs to stop long enough for people to see what it's become. We've got a government addicted to spending, a media addicted to lying, and a political class addicted to power. You don't fix that with elections, you fix it with accountability. Pelosi retiring doesn't scare me. It tells me they know what's coming. The socialist nonsense in New York doesn't scare me either, because every time these ideas fail, another American wakes up. This country isn't dying, it's detoxing. We're flushing out the parasites, one scandal and one resignation at a time. And if that makes Washington uncomfortable, good. Maybe it's about time they remembered who owns this country, and it damn sure isn't them.
I've spent my whole adult life watching the same political carousel spin around. New faces, same game. And what I've realized lately is that we don't just need a change in leadership, we need a change in character. This shutdown, this instability, these retirements, they're symptoms of something deeper. A nation that forgot the difference between governing and managing. We don't need managers, we need leaders. We don't need another round of promises from the same career politicians. We need Americans who remember what it means to serve instead of rule. Pelosi, Golden, Mamdani, they're not anomalies. They're products of a system that rewards deception over honesty. But that system only works as long as we tolerate it. So maybe this is the turning point. Maybe this is where we stop letting Washington write our future for us. Because no matter what side you're on, left, right, or in between, if you love this country, your fight isn't with your neighbor. It's with the machine that's been feeding on both of you.
You want to know what keeps me up at night? It's not the shutdown. It's not Pelosi stepping down. It's what's coming next. Because the system never gives up power. It just reshapes the mask. When politicians start running, it's because the spotlight's getting too close to the truth. What we're seeing now, these resignations, these internal fractures, it's not random. It's calculated. The elites are repositioning. They see the public mood shifting, and they're scrambling to survive the storm they created. This isn't about Democrats versus Republicans anymore. It's about the people versus the planners. The global class that's been manipulating economies, elections, and narratives for decades. The shutdown is just a side effect of their control breaking down. And honestly, that's good news, because chaos means their grip is slipping. So if you're watching this at home and you feel like everything's falling apart, don't panic. This isn't collapse, it's exposure. The truth always comes with noise. The only question is whether we have the guts to listen.
You know what hits hardest for me tonight? It's realizing how much faith I used to have in people who never deserved it. I used to think the government could fix things, that the right leaders could heal the divide, but they don't want to heal it. They profit from it. The shutdown didn't break the country. It broke the illusion that they're still in control, and maybe that's the best thing that could have happened. I look around and see people waking up, liberals who feel betrayed, conservatives who've had enough, independents who don't buy the BS anymore. That's where real change begins. Not in speeches or elections, but in the quiet moments where you finally say, enough. The left's not evil, the right's not perfect, but the truth's been buried under so much noise that most people forgot how to recognize it. So if there's one thing I hope people take from this episode, it's that we still have the power to rebuild something better. The system's collapsing, but the soul of America isn't. We just have to stop waiting for permission to save it.
Tonight wasn't just another roundtable. It was a mirror. And when I look into it, I see a country that's tired but not broken, angry but not defeated. I see people who've been lied to, taxed to death, and told they're the problem, but still get up every morning and fight for a life worth living. That's America. It's not the swamp, it's not the speeches, it's not the bureaucrats hiding behind talking points. It's you. It's the people who refuse to kneel before the machine. The shutdown is just a metaphor. Washington stopped working, but America didn't. The elites can resign, retire, or retreat. But the heartbeat of this nation doesn't come from their offices. It comes from every American who still believes in something bigger than fear. Every parent teaching their kid what freedom really means. Every soldier, every truck driver, every small business owner who refuses to quit. That's the real resistance. Pelosi can retire. Mamdani can dream of socialism. Heritage can squabble. But freedom, real freedom, doesn't belong to politicians. It belongs to people who speak, question, build, and laugh in the face of chaos. That's why this show exists. To remind you that truth still matters, that humor still heals, and that no amount of censorship or propaganda can kill the American spirit. So, wherever you are tonight, hold that line, because this is our country, our fight, our moment. And like I always say, remember to speak truth, stir thought. Tonight's episode of Data and Dissonance was brought to you by the Caleb Rourke thriller series, The Covenant Protocol, The Prophet Directive, and coming soon, Black Echo Rising. Conspiracy, courage, and chaos collide in a world where truth is the most dangerous weapon. Available now on Amazon.